Could this be the end of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? A couple once celebrated for their fairy tale romance, now reportedly teetering on the brink of divorce. You might be thinking, they've faced scrutiny before, surely they can handle this too. But what if this isn't just media speculation? What if this is a tension so deep, so personal, that it's threatening the foundation of their marriage itself? That's exactly what insiders are suggesting. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. It all began with something seemingly simple, a request for protection. Prince Harry, deeply concerned for the safety of his family, has been fighting tirelessly to reinstate his armed security detail in the United Kingdom. On the surface, it seems reasonable. After all, the safety of his wife and children is paramount. But behind closed doors, sources claim this battle has sparked intense disagreements between Harry and Meghan. Arguments so emotionally charged, they've left even close friends worried. Imagine the scenario. You're trying to protect the people you love most, but every decision you make sparks tension, mistrust, and frustration in the person you're closest to. How would you feel? Would you continue the fight, knowing it's fracturing your relationship? Or would you step back, risking safety for the sake of harmony? Harry reportedly faced this exact dilemma, and the consequences have been profound. Insiders suggest that this dispute isn't just about security. It's about control, trust, and the constant pressure of living under the public eye. Every choice Harry makes is scrutinized. Every argument with Meghan is potentially headline news. And every disagreement has layers: political, personal, and deeply emotional. The couple, who once seemed inseparable, are now reportedly experiencing moments of intense friction. Some sources even hint that Harry has contemplated the unthinkable: divorce. Now, let's pause for a moment. Divorce rumors swirl around countless celebrity couples, but this isn't just any marriage. This is a royal couple who have redefined the monarchy in modern times, who have challenged traditions, and whose every move is magnified by the media and the public alike. The stakes are higher, the scrutiny harsher, and the consequences far-reaching. If their marriage fractures, it wouldn't just be a personal tragedy. It would be a story felt across the globe. What makes this situation even more compelling is the timing. The world has been watching their post-royal life unfold with fascination, from high-profile interviews to philanthropy, to global trips and charitable endeavors. Now, a decision about something as practical as security has become a catalyst for personal turmoil. And according to reports, the emotional weight of this dispute has been simmering for months, building tension behind the scenes that few outside their inner circle fully understand. So why should you care? Because this isn't just a story about a royal couple. It's about love under pressure, about the fragile balance between safety and intimacy, and about the human side of lives that seem untouchable. It's about how even the most famous and influential individuals struggle with the same fears, doubts, and emotional conflicts as anyone else. And just when it seemed the tension could be managed, something happened. Something insiders say might have forced Harry to consider a path no one imagined. Something that could redefine not only his relationship with Meghan, but also their entire family's future. Could a question of security really threaten a marriage? At first glance, it might seem mundane. After all, aren't we all supposed to look out for the people we love? Yet in the case of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, it became the spark that ignited months of tension, private arguments, and reportedly, deep emotional strain. The story begins with one man's unwavering commitment to keeping his family safe. Harry, still haunted by past threats and relentless media scrutiny, has long insisted on armed security when he and Meghan are in the United Kingdom. The reasoning is simple. His family's life is valuable, and danger lurks in ways most of us cannot imagine. But simple reasoning doesn't always translate to simple action. According to insiders, Meghan's perspective differs. She reportedly fears that a permanent armed detail in the UK would only heighten the attention on them, making them targets instead of protecting them. It's the classic dilemma: protection versus privacy. Harry sees danger, Meghan sees intrusion. And in a marriage where every decision is magnified under public scrutiny, disagreements like these are rarely just about logistics. Imagine for a moment the tension behind palace doors or behind the gates of their private estates. Harry pushes for the measures he believes are non-negotiable. Meghan hesitates, worried about the implications. Words are exchanged, voices rise, frustration grows, and then outside observers, including close friends and advisors, begin to notice cracks forming in the dynamic that once seemed unbreakable. Every discussion about security reportedly becomes a microcosm of deeper, more complicated issues: trust, control, and fear. What makes this story more compelling is the timeline. Harry's requests for security weren't sudden. They were carefully considered, backed by reports and historical incidents, and presented multiple times over several months. The UK government, bound by legal procedures and royal protocols, did not always comply immediately, causing delays and, reportedly, a growing sense of urgency on Harry's part. But while he saw these delays as dangerous, Meghan's response was different. She worried that the spotlight would intensify, that the family could never truly relax even if security was reinstated. The conflict escalated quietly at first. Private conversations that seemed routine to the outside world were reportedly filled with tension, raised voices, and emotional pleas. Advisors who were later interviewed said that both Harry and Meghan were acting out of love and fear, but the clash of perspectives created friction too strong to ignore. The issue was no longer just security. It became emblematic of the larger pressures they faced as a couple navigating life under constant observation. Insiders reveal some moments of this tension that are almost cinematic in nature. One source described a late-night argument where Harry, frustrated and exhausted, allegedly told Meghan that without proper security, he could not return to the UK safely. Meghan reportedly responded with equal intensity, asking if he truly understood the emotional toll this constant vigilance took on her. Friends close to the couple claim it was a turning point, a moment when both began to realize the magnitude of the stakes, not only for their safety, but for the emotional health of their marriage. What makes this even more surprising is the contradiction between public appearances and private reality. On the surface, the couple would smile for cameras, attend high-profile events, and continue their philanthropic endeavors with apparent unity. But behind closed doors, sources say, every conversation about returning to the UK, every discussion about security, was increasingly fraught. The tension reportedly spilled into other aspects of their lives: travel plans, family interactions, and even daily routines. Have you ever felt that tension in a relationship where love and fear collide? That push and pull between wanting to protect someone and trying not to overwhelm them? That's exactly what insiders suggest Harry and Meghan were experiencing, magnified by international media and the relentless gaze of the public. Every decision was a potential headline. Every disagreement was fodder for speculation. And for a couple whose relationship had been constantly scrutinized since the beginning, the stakes could not be higher. But even with all the careful planning and careful conversation, there was one thing Harry could not ignore. Reports suggest that the longer the delay in security approval, the more he felt forced into a corner. And in moments like this, insiders say, frustration gives way to drastic considerations. Arguments that once could have been reconciled began to weigh heavier. Emotional fatigue set in. And according to sources, the couple's private battles over something as seemingly straightforward as protection began to cast a shadow over the very foundation of their marriage. Then came the pivotal moment, a point where Harry reportedly made a decision that shocked those closest to him. A choice that would ripple outward, affecting Meghan, their children, and even the perception of the monarchy itself. And while the world remained unaware, the private drama between the Duke and Duchess was intensifying, escalating toward a crossroads that few could have predicted. Could a marriage survive when every choice becomes a battleground? When every disagreement is amplified by cameras, headlines, and whispers behind closed doors? For Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, insiders say the answer is becoming increasingly uncertain. After months of disputes over security, tensions reportedly began to spill into other, more intimate parts of their relationship, the private space that once acted as their sanctuary. At first, it was subtle. Small disagreements that might have been easily resolved in any other couple started to escalate. Reports suggest that conversations about returning to the UK, travel arrangements, and even daily routines became emotionally charged. Friends close to the couple have described these moments as tense, draining, and a test of their patience and resilience. Imagine being in a partnership where every decision feels like it carries the weight of the world. The stakes aren't just practical, they're emotional, psychological, and increasingly public. And then came the contradictions. Publicly, Harry and Meghan would present a united front. They smiled for cameras, attended events together, and continued their philanthropic work with apparent harmony. But behind the scenes, sources describe a different reality. There were heated discussions, arguments that left both feeling misunderstood, frustration that built quietly over time, turning minor disagreements into intense confrontations. Insiders even described moments of silence in the house, where tension hung so thick you could cut it with a knife. What made it worse, according to sources, was the constant outside scrutiny. Every word, every gesture, every travel plan was analyzed and critiqued. What might have been a minor disagreement for any couple became fodder for global speculation. And this is where the pressure intensified. Harry reportedly felt that protecting his family was non-negotiable. Meghan, on the other hand, was concerned about the impact of living under such scrutiny on their children and their personal lives. These conflicting priorities, both rooted in love, created a perfect storm of tension. Insiders have hinted at specific incidents that exemplify the strain. One account describes a private disagreement that escalated late at night over their children's education and safety. Harry, frustrated by delays in reinstating UK security, allegedly expressed that he could not consider returning without certainty that the family would be protected. Meghan, emotionally exhausted by months of public and private pressure, reportedly voiced that the constant focus on security and threats was taking a toll on their emotional well-being. Friends claim this was a pivotal moment, a reminder that love alone sometimes isn't enough when fear and pressure enter the equation. Adding fuel to the fire were the contradictions between the public narrative and private reality. While media outlets continued to report a strong and loving couple, insiders painted a different picture. They describe Harry and Meghan's interactions as strained and emotionally loaded, with both trying to navigate the delicate balance between safety, privacy, and their marriage. The emotional intensity of these private battles, experts say, cannot be underestimated. Emotional fatigue, frustration, and isolation can quietly erode even the strongest relationships. And yet, what's particularly striking about these private battles is the emotional paradox. On one hand, Harry is deeply devoted, protective, and willing to make hard decisions for the family's safety. On the other hand, Meghan is committed to maintaining a sense of normalcy and emotional balance for their children. Both are acting out of love, yet both feel misunderstood. The tension, insiders say, isn't about who is right or wrong. It's about differing perceptions of risk, differing emotional needs, and the impossibility of escaping public scrutiny. Imagine living in that kind of pressure cooker. Every word measured, every action scrutinized, every private disagreement potentially becoming headline news. The couple reportedly struggled to find moments of peace, moments where they could speak honestly without fear of exposure. Friends claim that even in private, discussions about safety and family plans often ended in emotional deadlock. The stress reportedly began to seep into other areas of their relationship, including trust, communication, and emotional intimacy. And yet, the strain didn't just affect the two of them. Sources suggest the tension began impacting their children. Meghan reportedly worried about the emotional climate at home, noting how her children sensed the stress between their parents. Harry, consumed by the urgency of security concerns, was sometimes less attuned to these subtle emotional cues. It's a dynamic familiar to many couples, amplified to an extreme degree because of their high-profile status. By this point, insiders claim, the private battles had reached a breaking point. Arguments that might have once been resolved through discussion now carried lingering emotional weight. Silence replaced conversation. Frustration replaced understanding. And in moments of exhaustion and fear, Harry reportedly began to consider drastic measures, decisions that would have profound consequences for the marriage. But the story doesn't stop there. Even as tensions escalated, friends say there were attempts at reconciliation, attempts to communicate, to find compromise. And yet, each attempt reportedly highlighted the very differences that were driving a wedge between them. One insider described it as a dance of love and fear, where each step forward seemed to reveal another layer of conflict waiting to emerge. Just when it seemed that the couple might find a path forward, a new revelation surfaced, one that insiders suggest could change everything. Something that introduced the possibility of divorce into conversations that had previously been unthinkable. A private shock, hidden from the public, that now loomed over every decision, every argument, every attempt at reconciliation.